What did we learn this week?
Yeah, it was the first half. So watching it was awful, right? Like watching the first half was terrible. And then you kind of get into the tape. The thing I've always enjoyed about watching the game live and then going and looking at the all 22 is you get disconnected from the emotion of it when you watch the all 22, right? Because everything's chopped up, or at least the version I watch, right? It's all offense. I'm not like watching, oh, then the D, it's not like a true game flow. You're really just like evaluating it series to series, which then it's not as bad until you realize it's like, I'm sitting there and I'm watching it. And then all of a sudden it's like, I have like 4 clips marked of like, oh, these will be great to review with everybody. And it's like the fourth quarter already, which is an awful sign, right? If you're like, hey, we only have 4 clips that are like good or bad. And now all of a sudden I'm in the fourth quarter. I would say that I think game flow really hurt the Bears, right? It was like, but not that it was always a 3 and out, but it's like you had 3 and outs. You had just like, okay, hey, we got first down on second down, and then now it's, 5 and out. Like it just wasn't sustained on offense. Then it kind of felt like Washington was more or less sustaining drives. And then, you go to the locker room and it felt like I really was like, Washington should be up 21. It just felt like, and then again, that's a testament to the Bears' red zone defense, but it was just such a weird game flow. And then all of a sudden, the fourth quarter, it's like, oh, wow, we're going to play offense again, right? And to me, it's like, that's what I almost felt was discouraging, was it feels like there were so many drive starters and so many good play calls that we more or less saved. And I'm like, why did we save these? Like, what were we saving them for? Because we really couldn't get anything going. And, you're kind of saving them for nothing at that point.
That's 100% how I felt. I didn't understand why they didn't want to use Cole Kmet, who was incredibly effective the game before, until late in the game. And thusly, I think there's some sort of relationship there with his usage in the run game, neither of which were to be found in the first half.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, part of it you could say, like, I don't think Caleb did a great job of getting to him, right? There were plays where, hey, he was there and you could have got it to him. But the other part of me was I just don't think they were putting him in a great situation to do that. I kind of laughed about it because of the 2-point play, right? Because, there's 2 schools of thoughts, right? I think a more old school of thought was, hey, we have just 2-point plays. Then it kind of morphed into the call sheet where it's like, bottom right, highlighted in yellow, hey, our real short yardage goal line, right? And that 2-point play, the 2-point shovel play that they hit to make it to where it really felt like, hey, they're either going to, drive the ball on us and kick a field goal and then we're going to overtime, or, we just won. I laughed because that's such a creative play call. And it was on a short yardage sheet. And instead we went to the fullback dive with our linemen, right? So it's like those, more or less most NFL call sheets, those plays are right next to each other. So it's kind of funny how, it ends up shaking out. I do think we just didn't get to any of the creative stuff. And then later in the game, you saw, Caleb, I think, did a good job. Like the only thing that I will say is, like, obviously on Monday morning, I'm bummed about, hey, the Bears lost. But the only thing I will say is it is so much more optimistic when you can sit there and go like, hey, at least we feel like we've got a quarterback, right? It is so much more optimistic to think you're still 1-2 games out of the playoff hunt. I think the thing that's tough is if you look at where the Bears are going to be positioned when it comes to potentially making the playoffs, this game does feel more or less like it was really important if all of a sudden Washington loses ground in their division.
And the same thing will be true if they lose to the Arizona Cardinals, because those are teams.
Well, that's it. Then that's over. Yeah, if you lose to the Cardinals, you can forget the playoffs. You can forget it with this division schedule. It's over. It might be over now.
Yeah.
Dan, we're not.
Tim,
do you feel like
it
might be over now? Do you feel like it might be over now based on what you've seen in Caleb's development and his play, and more importantly, Shane Waldron's offense?
Yeah, I don't. So what I will say, the only shrivel of credit I could give Shane is there is a piece of me that wants to chalk the whole game up to game flow, which like isn't fair, right? Because good teams win those games, right? No, I shouldn't say good teams. Great teams win the funky game flow. We've all watched the Chiefs all of a sudden
all year.
Yeah, being like a 14-12 because someone got a safety and a field goal dogfight, and then somehow they win, right? Like we've all seen, but they're a great team. The Bears were hot. No one has said man, we're a bona fide great team. We have said, though, these are the games that we're interested in. Can you get punched in the mouth and then find a way to win? And what I will say is it seems like, and again, I don't think this is an indictment on the players necessarily, but we are continuously seeing situations in which when we get into a dogfight, we somehow find a way to lose. And there's just a lot of things, like the notion that the play before the Hail Mary didn't matter is like one of the craziest answers I think I've ever heard.
It's insane. Coach give. And it's wrong and insane.
It's just delusional.
And Tim, when you say it's not an indictment on the players, all you're saying there is it is an indictment on the coaching. That's all you're saying.
Well, that's the consistency, and it's more the head coach, right? Like, to me, it's like the only real similarities I see in truly evaluating the tape from last year, this year, is the head guy, right? Like, everything else has changed. The offense, we're not really running the same concepts. Granted, the NFL runs a lot of the same, but if you were to say the 20% that makes our offense versus, hey, globally, what's the NFL run? We're not running the same stuff. The players obviously aren't different, especially at the most important position on planet Earth. And then you sit there and we're still finding a way to lose these games. I want to chalk a lot of it up specifically to Shane to game flow, because it is when you're in some of these games where, you're consistently going 3 and out, like he's calling stuff in, like, there's a 3rd and 2 where Caleb pulls it and goes to throw bubble. It's like, that's a run call. We pulled it and then the corner jumped it. The 4th and 1 where he throws to DJ Moore, watching that live, I'm like, what an insane decision. You watch the tape, we got beat so badly up front that it actually turned into a good decision, right? But you can't make those decisions based on, physical errors that happen. So it was just such a funky game that I want to give him credit, because then down the stretch, we got hot. And then ultimately, the thing that's so frustrating is ultimately we were in a position to win. And then it's just like, we give up a free 15, and then our right side corner is talking junk to the fans. Like, there's just stuff that I can't relate to, especially in the whole, we're going to handle it in the, to me, it's like the whole point of having media there at times is to send a message through the media. I don't know. There's just a lot that I'm wanting from a leadership perspective, that you just feel like it sucks so bad to lose a game you should win, but then to lose a game you should win and then have someone saying things that are just like, dude, this is wholesale incorrect, is even more frustrating. And I could only imagine if this is year 60 of me loving the Bears, like some of these guys who comment on YouTube.
Hey, loving the Bears might take some years off your life, to be honest.
Yeah, you're gonna make
it just some of these guys, I completely got what they were saying. I'm over there complaining because I lost a little bit of money on the bets. These people are like, this is a generational life sentence, Tim. You don't understand what I've been going through. And part of me is I don't, man. I don't. I love watching the tape. And yeah, when some guy commented and said, Tim, I'm on year 47 of a life sentence. I mean, dude. And then your head coach is up there saying that the second to last play didn't matter. That's what kills me, is I love football. And I love fans. I love everything about it. And then you've got some guy who's one of the 32 best coaches up there. Well, that didn't matter. It's you're insane. You're absolutely insane to say it didn't matter. And then also you're insane to not say yeah, my right side corner is basically talking smack to people that paid for tickets, and he's supposed to be covering the tip guy. Not only is that getting addressed in the locker room, if I ever see something like that from him again, we cut him immediately. Those are the kind of things where it's use the media to your advantage in that point. Don't continue to give coach talk. That's just my opinion, but I don't know anything.
All right, let's talk film for a second. How do we know, with all of the tempo they were running, all of the times breaking the huddle early to let Caleb diagnose and decide, how much of this and how much of the funkiness of the game flow had to do with cans, checks, kills, etc.?
It's there's 3 plays on film that we pull it to throw it on a run play that don't work out to our advantage. Now, is that a reason to, it's just such a fine line to walk. So just here's an example of it. They're in shotgun, right? And Keenan Allen and DJ Moore to the same side. They're the 2 receivers, and we have inside zone run called to our strength, to our tight end side. We have a bubble option, meaning our slot receiver is going to run a bubble. Our outside receiver is going to block. We can pull that and throw the bubble if we like the look as a quarterback. That if we like the look is the key coaching that is not black and white, right? There's black and white reads of, hey, we have a 7-man box, always throw it. Or, hey, we got a 5-man box, always run it. But we get a lot of looks of 6-man box, and you can't really tell, is that nickel will is he pressuring? Is his eyes in the run game, or his feet heavy? Those are the things where it's like such a nuanced decision to pull it or not. Every single pull decision we made was, when you looked at the tape, incorrect. Now it's so easy to second guess it from my office in Colorado where I can't get hit. So that's the nuance of the coaching that has to happen in the building. With that being said, they were not correct pulls when they happened. So that's just a microcosm of a called run with a pass option. Now to elaborate on your question, which is, well, how many other things were kind of funky based on maybe a wrong mic point, or, hey, can to the wrong play, or kill to the wrong play, or, hey, we're going to alert opposite. It's just it's very possible. What I would say is I would never advocate for taking that off. Hey, let's pull the reins back, because I don't think he's making enough of the wrong decisions to then really drastically stunt his growth. Like, I would never.
I'm not asking for that. I'm just wondering how much of a growing pain this was, and how much of this game as a data point for him is like, you're going to have all this autonomy, but you're going to have to learn from your mistakes.
It's a really great learning game, like you're saying. Okay. It's a really great game to learn from, and it's a really great reminder, even for me, that you've got a rookie quarterback, right? You're sitting at 5-3 with a rookie quarterback. Not 5-3, sorry. 4-2.
Wishful thinking. 4-3. They're 4-3.
Yeah. So you're sitting at 4-3 with a rookie quarterback, and you know, he's able to do a lot of this stuff at the line of scrimmage, I think is more of a benefit. But yeah, this is definitely one of those games that I think Caleb's going to learn to re-verify what I looked at. Because as a quarterback, you never, if, hey, I have this, everybody knows the 4th and 1, right? The 4th and 1 where we have a run play and he throws it to DJ, right? That one is a really great example of how you got to sneak a peek, right? Because you can't stare out there, right? You can't just look out there the whole time. They're going to know something. So it's like you got to really peek and try to assess where the corner's at within a normal pre-snap rhythm. And you can almost see it's like clockwork. Caleb peeks out there, turns his head back to go truly, hey, forehead frontal on the snap. That's exactly when the corner starts to get tight, and then he can make a play. It's probably a really great reminder for him to potentially use his cadence more, potentially take a double peek. Like, there's a lot of things that factor into it that are like so funny because it doesn't show up on paper football, but like, it's a reality of it. If you look out there and the corner's off and your sheet says throw against the corner being off, but then your eyes come back middle, and guess what? That corner creeps down. It's no longer corner off. So then it's a bad decision. So, hey, is that an instance that we want to use cadence? Or is that potentially an instance that we want to go opposite of paper football? We're going to run the ball no matter what, and let's go, hey, alpha blue go. Let's not go our full cadence. Like, those are situations that he's going to get better at. Ultimately, you can't be perfect. You'll never be 100 out of 100 on throwing your look because, the corner also gets paid to give a cloudy look. But those are things that he's definitely going to learn from.
Well, that was part of it for me. Was Dan Quinn showed people how to disrupt Caleb Williams's process. Like, you saw the decision-making process change, and you saw what happened because of his accuracy as well. I think that catches up because this is not a finished product. But what did you see out of the defense, just to expand on what you talked about? Like, we saw a little bit of a stunt. We saw several things shake him up that I think teams are going to replicate. Is there anything you see Dan Quinn's defense doing to tell other teams what to do next week and the week after?
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of double A gap pressure from the linebackers with where the one of the backers goes first and the other guy twists. We're going to see a ton of that because Wagner got home a lot utilizing that. We're going to see a ton of that. And then if we're being honest, the Bears didn't make them pay, right? The big the big thing, hey, how do you get someone to not pressure you is to make them pay, right? Like that's kind of, you know, every quarterback's talking point, right? Is, hey, if they press, if they give us heat, you know, and play cover one behind it, we have to hit some big plays. You know, Peyton Manning was famous for checking to that smoke screen, which is something I think the Bears really could do. I mean, the Bears have the tools to do it from a personnel standpoint, you know, have that smoke screen. I think Caleb's also, you know, Caleb, I don't want to say he's incorrect in doing it. It appears that he leans Rome on man coverage, or he did in this game at least. We threw a lot of man coverage balls to Rome that didn't hit big. And then on the backside of the concept, you've got DJ Moore one-on-one. And I think that's something that if I was a betting man, got said in the locker room, because DJ Moore's usually a pretty solid teammate when it comes to forward facing. You know, one of our guys played with him in Carolina. What I will say is DJ Moore is not afraid to tell you, if I'm one-on-one, let's go ahead and give me a shot with the football. And I think he's earned that right? It's not like a criticism on him. I think he's absolutely earned that right. And I would be sitting in there watching with Caleb. You know, I don't know if you guys remember, but it's like 3rd and long. Caleb chooses the concept side, the 3 receiver side, and he throws a ball that, you know, Tyson has a better shot at catching than Rome. Well, is it a bad football? Rome kind of spray releases and then dips back inside. It looks like an awful ball on the broadcast. To me, then also you then factor in the whole picture of you got DJ Moore backside one-on-one on an in route. If I'm a D coordinator, I'm looking at that and I'm going, man, we might heat this kid up a little bit more than I thought going into it. And then I also think the other talking point, if you're in there watching it with Caleb, you got the clicker in your hand. I think you talk a lot about, hey, dude, cover one, great opportunity if you break the pocket to just run versus trying to extend within the pocket, which I love that he's doing. But to me, it's like, man, these 3rd and 4s, go ahead. If you get cover one, don't be afraid to go and get it and then protect yourself.
Do you watch with the sound up? And if so, when you watch a network broadcast, which analyst do you think does the best job analyzing quarterback play in real time?
Yeah, I do watch a little bit with the sound up. I mostly get I mostly do it because it's exciting for me for all the times we get AJ Feely, and I'm like, that's not what happened. But no, I think you know, I like AJ. I like him. He's a good kicker guy. But the thing that I would say is yeah, I mean, I like Romo. The thing is, I haven't watched Brady at all. And people say Brady's horrible, so I haven't watched him at all. Every game, it seems like, though, that I know that he's calling has been like a 40-point game. So I'm like, that's got to be brutal to just sit up there and be like, all right, well, they're running the clock out.
Yeah, that's what happens when you do Cowboys games.
Particularly...
What? Man.
What's
Sorry, Tim.
No, strays for the Cowboys. I'm just because, you know, Romo got a lot of credit when he was first starting about sniffing out plays from formation, and then that kind of got old, and then he had to be lectured on his preparation, and he seems to have tightened that up a little bit.
He was better on Sunday.
Yeah, I think, listen, I think of all of them, I don't mind Romo. What I will say is the broadcast environment for the NFL games is just funky to me, because I'm like, and also I'm just probably too practical, but I'm like, it seems like a lot of money to spend on someone who I'm not sure that's why people are watching. But listen, I don't mind Romo. I actually like listening to Greg Olsen. I will tell you, I like Greg Olsen. He, to me, has been fun. My favorite guy was Booger. You know, you put Booger in the Booger Mobile and you stop people that spent 10 grand for tickets to see because the Booger Mobile's flying around. I didn't mind that on Monday night just because I thought it was hilarious that they just didn't care that much about the people in the front row. So,
wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really.
You may have just explained why it is no longer a thing, actually.
Right?
I wasn't even thinking about that.
I don't know. I really just, I don't mind. I didn't mind Romo, but I'm not a fan of most of them. It's also probably because I'm sitting there, if I'm being honest with you, Dan, and I'm like, I could do it.
I guarantee you could.
Yeah.
I guarantee you could, but they'd want you to dumb it down.
Yeah. That's the other thing that I will be honest in that, you know, and again, is it just a subset? I don't know, right? 70,000 people watch the Caleb Williams breakdowns, and it seems like there's a like 70,000 people watch them, and I'm sitting here in like my office with a terrible microphone, horrible lighting, and people are watching. I do think there's an appetite for knowing the game deeper than I think sometimes producers give credit for, which is what I mean. Listen, I'm so thankful to you guys forever that you've let me come on here and talk football at a high level. And, and it seems like people have enjoyed it, or the two people that tweet on Twitter about it. So those two guys are happy. Everybody else tuned out, but I'm thankful that you guys are willing to do that to your audience. Just take it to 2.
No, that there's definitely a place for you in your analysis, and it's not
right,
only Bears with us. You can punish yourself watching any football team, and I think people will follow. So
yeah, like the Cowboys.
You definitely, I mean, there's not much to analyze there offensively, but I will say that there's definitely an audience for what you do, and if you expanded it, people would watch it.
Well, I'm thankful for you guys. I appreciate you having me on, and then I appreciate you sticking with me, even though it's just been. Yeah, it's been tough. The years that I've come on, it's been tough. There's going to be a year, though, where, man, we're winning a Super Bowl.
The prophecy has been foretold.
And now you really are a Bears fan.
Yeah, there you go. Now you've really...
Meatballs.
Yeah, you're a made guy now. Thanks, Tim.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.